Juneteenth was established as a federal holiday signed into law by President Biden in 2021. Juneteenth is the first new federal holiday established in the U.S. since Martin Luther King Jr. Day was signed into law in '83. For longtime advocates like Opal Lee, the recognition was long overdue, but not without intention. Back in 2021, Target sponsored the Summer of Soul Juneteenth celebration. Just 4 years later, the retailer would signal a very different message to a community who once saw them as an ally. Walmart has been accused of sanitizing the sacred day with what some felt were disingenuous products. To some, the holiday began to feel commercialized. Is the Juneteenth holiday political theater? Is it a distraction from the dire need to pass real policy that would impact the lives of African Americans to finally confront America's original sin? News 1 decodes.
He is human, bro. He's talking.
Let's remember where we were in 2020. COVID was rampant, tensions were high. George Floyd's death was captured on camera and shown to the world just 16 days before the Juneteenth holiday.
President Trump's first post-lockdown rally is still more than a week away, but it's already sparking controversy and concern. The president chose a location and a day with very deep racial symbolism.
Tulsa, Oklahoma, home of the Tulsa Race Massacre, infamously known as one of the worst examples of racial terror in American history. Was it a dog whistle? That was the question at the time. Donald Trump ultimately responded to the criticism by changing the date of the rally.
When you first heard about Trump wanting to have a rally here during Juneteenth weekend, what were your thoughts?
I thought he wanted to start another war.
The nation was dealing with a racial reckoning. African Americans were exhausted with the systemic racism that was so deeply rooted in the fabric of America. Joe Biden's 2020 defeat of Donald Trump provided hope African Americans desperately needed at the time. The election confirmed Kamala Harris as the first woman and Black and South Asian American vice president. Ketanji Brown Jackson as the first African American woman to serve as a Supreme Court justice. Sure, the optics looked good, and the new Juneteenth holiday was nice, but bipartisan politics would stall any real legislative progress, and that is what Black Americans truly needed.
We have to come together to rebuild trust between law enforcement and the people they serve, to root out systemic racism in our criminal justice system, and to enact police reform in George Floyd's name that passed the House already.
Despite Joe Biden's pleas, the Senate failed to pass the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. The Senate also failed to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, raising both questions and concerns about the country's willingness to disrupt long-existing power structures. The Juneteenth holiday isn't the first holiday in our history that's viewed as a form of quote-unquote symbolic appeasement. In 1980, there was a backlash against the civil rights gains of the 60s and 70s. Race was at the center of politics, with conservatism growing among white evangelicals. Sound familiar? Stay with me. Ronald Reagan was running for president. His platform message, to quote, "Make America great again," end quote. His first major campaign stop, Philadelphia, Mississippi, a town that was put on the world map after 3 civil rights activists were murdered by members of the Ku Klux Klan. Coretta Scott King called Reagan's choice shocking and very hurtful. Mrs. King, like many other civil rights leaders at the time, were acutely aware of the GOP's Southern strategy.
I want to thank President Reagan, who says he will sign the bill into law. We will be waiting for that date.
It was widely known, especially within the Black community, that Reagan only signed the King holiday into law with great reluctance. Contrast to the present, President Trump, in his first day in office, signed an executive order dismantling diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives within federal agencies. What does that mean exactly? Well, while Juneteenth remains legally recognized, Trump's directive led to the elimination of in-agency observance planning. This for several cultural remembrance events, not only Juneteenth, but Black History Month and others. Are you decoding? No more Jennifer Hudson's singing on the White House lawn on Juneteenth for the foreseeable future. at least for the next 4 years. So this Juneteenth, as you drink your red soda, take a minute to absorb the meaning behind it. The red represents bloodshed during slavery and for our liberation. And as you take a slice of red velvet cake, honor the perseverance of African American identity. Let's all remember to celebrate the legacy of joy and triumph in the face of suffering. This is what we all must strive to keep alive on our holiday.